And that internship paid me $500 for the whole summer. And I think
Really?
I was working like 80 hours a week. Hello, hello, hello. Did you forget it? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another video podcast. This is Misa.
And this is Yuka.
And welcome to the
Misa Yuka podcast.
So, we have our long and never forgotten friend Yuka back on the channel, back on the show. How do you feel, Yuka?
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you back. We're dressed really well today with orange and blue. And we just look like we are amazing. We look like we are amazing. That doesn't even make sense. Okay. Anyways, if you are new here, we are two sisters raised in the States.
Born in Japan.
Born in Japan, raised in the States, and we are currently living in Tokyo. And on this podcast, we just talk about really random things that we relate to each week, mostly about like career, personal development, our thoughts. So if you are in the same radar, kind of like us, follow along for more content. We upload weekly, Monday, 7 p.m. Japan time. Anyways, today, so last week we got a really cool question.
Yeah.
And so we would like to answer that question on this podcast. And that says, it's Please Kids. So it says, I don't know if you guys talked about this before, but can you and your sister make a podcast episode about your experiences searching for internships and volunteer jobs after college? How easy or hard was it for you to find one? And did you guys ever feel interview anxiety or nervousness? Thanks in advance. So I think like this is coming from maybe like a non-Japanese person, seems like, but we'll just like talk about our experiences like trying to find jobs and internships in America. And also we landed our first job in Japan, so we can talk about our experience. Like I don't think like I ever really like dug in depth about my internship experience.
Well, you didn't have an internship after college.
Not after college. I had one like during college.
Yeah, I think what usually happens is we get internships during college.
Yeah. So we can talk about that, and then we can talk about after that. We'll be talking about how we got our first jobs in Japan, and if we ever felt anxiety or nervousness, and we'll kind of like go deeper with that, because I think we have an episode about that, but we didn't really like talk about our like what kind of jobs we applied for and stuff, right?
Yeah,
if you remember.
Yeah,
it's like 20 years ago, so I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyway, so did you have an internship?
I did.
Like during college?
I did.
Oh yeah, I think I remember. You worked at like it's like an architect firm.
It was a landscape architecture design firm.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like you had a really slow life.
I had a slow life.
Yeah.
I don't think you were even there.
Okay. Anyways, do you want to talk about that? No. Do you remember? I can go first.
I feel like we already know what kind of internships we've got. Like, is that the point? I think we should
like how we got it.
How we got it?
Yeah. You
just apply.
But like you're searching for internships and volunteering jobs. Because I have one, because like so when I was in college, like all of my UC Berkeley friends were so smart. Like they were like, oh, I got an internship at Facebook or like Snapchat or like Instagram or like Uber. And I was like, oh gosh, like all these like business people were like getting all these like amazing internships that paid like what, $3,000 or $5,000 a month. And I was kind of like, I was trying to like I wasn't really applying to those kinds of internships. Like I thought that was like kind of out of my reach. So I actually went to a professor from my department. I was in the public health department, and I found like a really cool professor that I kind of like resonated with her research. She was researching about like how obesity, like how like school lunches can cause obesity in like kids and stuff. So I was like, oh, I was gonna like, so I got an appointment with her and was like talking to her about just like my career, and I was kind of how I was kind of lost, and I was also I was kind of looking into like med school at the time. So, because all of my friends were like going to planning to go to med school. So, I was also asking her if I should go to med school.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Your friends are going to med school, so you think you should go to med school.
Yes.
Whereas, like, usually it's like the parents wanting you to go to med school. It's like a parent influence, not a friend influence, but you were influenced by your friends.
My friends.
That's so funny.
And so yeah, I was like, I asked her if I even like should go to med school, like, you know, because my professor went to med school at the age of 30. So it was really interesting to hear from her. But she was like, yeah, if you are like even asking that question, like you should not go. It's a lot of work. And so I was just talking to her about like what I've been doing at my little part-time job at working at a preschool. Remember I worked at a preschool? Yeah, I was like making like cool like breakfast and like lunch, and I was like making it more look appetizing for kids in order to increase like the number of kids who ate breakfast. So I was just talking about that, and she's like, oh, you sound like an entrepreneur. You sound like very creative and like passionate about like what you're doing. So I'll like connect you to these two entrepreneurs who are like making a company right now to like transform like food education for kids. And that's how I got my internship. But it like, so we were making like videos and like media with food for kids. And so I was making like stop motion videos with and I made like food characters, you know, like, you know, kind of like, it's kind of like that
those
stuff.
Those interesting days.
Yeah, those interesting days. And that internship paid me $500 for the whole summer. And I think I was working like 80 hours a week. I was working so much.
I can't believe you said yes to that.
I know. See, like, these are the stuff that I do. It literally paid me $500 like for the summer, and I was like always working on that, and I wasn't getting paid for like the first few weeks or something, and it was really tiring. And I remember like I kind of yawned during one of the meetings because I was so tired, and like the CEO girl was like really kind of like pissed at me, and I think the day after that, she paid me the $500 in check. But yeah, that's all I got that summer.
Does that mean please leave $500?
Or like, please do your work. Oh. Here's your $500. Like, because I was not getting paid for like what I was doing, and I was doing a lot for them. So, and I think I was like a really selfless, you know, girl, like who didn't really think about money and stuff. So I was like just going all in, but I was getting so tired not getting the money, so I got the $500 in check in the beginning of the summer. But yeah, it was like a lot of work, and like the company also was kind of, I don't think like they had like their direction as well,
right?
But it was like a good experience to get me into like video making and like food education for kids. But yeah, that's how I got my little internship. But my other friends were like getting these bomb, like, you know, such great internships in Silicon Valley. And yeah, that was my summer. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Japan. So that's like a whole different story. But that's like I only got that internship. Going to Berkeley. So that's like my only internship experience that I can tell you about, which is so funny. You should not follow my steps. Just kidding.
It's either you want the experience, or you want the high brand name.
Yeah.
Because even if you go to like Snapchat or Twitter or those high brand names, it's like, it looks great on the resume, But if you're not getting the right experience or like the right skills you want, then it's kind of, I mean, it's not pointless, but I mean, I'd rather take the experience.
Yeah. So I feel like so I was like talking to a lot of my older friends, my elderly friends, my older friends during college, and they were like talking about their their internships at these like really big companies versus their internships at smaller companies, like who gave them the experience. They 100% like all of them said like, oh, the smaller companies gave them more experience, like more leeway, like more options of like how they did their stuff so that it fits with their needs of like the experience. But like the bigger companies said that they just had like, you know, a handful of interns already, and they were just being told to do just like these small bits, you know, and they didn't really have a choice of like what kind of experience or like what kind of experience they really needed for their next career.
So it wasn't really personalized to their needs.
Right, yeah. So I think it's like if you want like personalization, you know, like personalized experiences, you remember them for forever. Because I remember my internship experience until to this day, you know. So and that experience, like even though that was like really not like that was like, you know, peanuts of money, but like you remember it and it actually like helps you. So yeah, I think like getting smaller company internships are a lot better.
No, maybe not like smaller, but it just depends on what the experience, like what kind of experience you're gonna get.
Right.
I think.
Right. Did you had an internship?
I had an internship, but mine was more specific because my major was really specific.
Right.
So it was either architecture or architecture.
Yes or yes.
So it's architecture, and all you have to do is create a portfolio, a design portfolio, and you submit it to multiple design offices, and you get interviews.
Right.
But you just need a portfolio. That's it. And you just need to talk to them.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't like it wasn't like trying to find a lot of different companies from a big pile.
Right.
It's very specific.
Right. And did that help you with your next career?
Yeah, it did. It
did.
Oh,
really?
It did.
Wow, okay.
It made me realize I cannot do this.
I think, like, every job that Yuka gets, she has a realization. She always has an epiphany. I can't, like, of, like, not being able to do that job. She's like, every job she gets, she's like, I cannot be doing this job. I cannot be going to work anymore. It's so funny. I love it, Yuka.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's just a journey.
Yeah. Getting the right job is such a journey.
Yeah, and if you have, people are really lucky.
Yeah, and if you have that, you are like on cloud 9.
Yeah, props to you.
Yeah, but I think it's the hardest, and thank goodness we have like 50 years
to find our dream job.
But no, seriously, right? For me, my experience, like my internship experience, was so personalized that it helped me have a story behind all of the things I said at interviews.
For example?
For example, I applied to 9 companies in Japan while I was at Berkeley. And at UC Berkeley, like, there are a lot of Japanese companies who come over to the university to find bilingual people, like students, and then kind of like try to recruit them into their job or their companies because they need English and Japanese speakers. And so I applied to 9, and I also went to the Boston Career Fair, right? Like the interesting thing in Boston. Yeah. And I was doing a lot of interviews, and one of them I interviewed for Fuji TV. Fuji TV, it's like one of the TV networks in Japan. I was interested in media, and they asked me like what kind of like experiences I have to like fit in with their like career, and I was like, oh, I did like I did this like thing, the internship thing, like I built up a company together with entrepreneurs making video content for like educational video content. Right? No one knew that I got $500 for that summer. Yeah. No one knows, right? But you got the experience and you can talk about it, and that's a really unique experience, right?
Right.
Or in like other cases, like I feel like I applied to like the companies that I was kind of attracted to were companies that had like an entrepreneur like venture mindset. Fast-paced, like creative, everyone's independent. So the company that I actually got into and actually like worked for 4 years, I talked about my internship experience too, and they really thought it was really cool, right? And I was like fit for the job because I could think and be creative. But yeah, that company also didn't know that I got $500 for that summer. Right. But I really kind of made it a big thing, like a big deal that I did that. Yeah. Because it's a unique experience.
So it's basically how you present it matters.
Yeah.
Even if it's, $500.
Like, it's like a matter of like, it's a matter of like if you think, oh, this is just a $500 like summer internship, it was nothing. Or if you're like, oh yeah, this experience was like so cool. Yeah. Like this experience like allows me to be a good candidate for your company.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So is that like bluffing?
Oh, interviews is all about bluffing. Like, making it bigger. Making it seem like 10 times bigger than what it actually was is your job. Right?
I think it is your job, but at the same time, if you're trying to pretend like you're not that...
Right.
Or if you're trying to pretend to be the person that they're expecting...
Right.
It's really hard once you get in because you are not that person.
Right. So, like, okay... Like, my conversations at interviews were not really about, like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. I just talked about my experience.
Right.
Yeah, and then, like, how I felt from that experience. It's really important. And then I think it's important to be real, right? And so if you are not vibing with that person in front of you...
You're not going to vibe once you get in.
You are not going to vibe. Like, they are part of the company, and if you are interacting with that part of the company and you're not vibing with it, you're probably not going to vibe with the other people, or if you're being distracted when that person is talking because, I don't know, of their, like, maybe a gap in their teeth. Like, that's a sign that you might not be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be really willing to see the signs, and also not, like, be okay with, like, if they don't really take you. Because you know what, like, maybe you're better than them, right?
Yeah.
It's so true. Like, you might be better than them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, there might be a better company that fits you even better. So it's all about, like the connections.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's all about, like, not like luck or anything like that, but I think it's about
vibes.
I'm not sure. It's about like it's about your life path, where life kind of takes you. Yeah, and I think.
So what if you make a mistake?
In your interview.
In your path.
In your path. There's no mistakes in a path because there's only one path, right?
Right, but it splits,
It splits, but you know what? Even if it splits, like, that road might come back again.
Are you saying it's a roundabout?
It might be a roundabout. You see, you never know.
Right.
Right? So there's, like... But I think what's really important during an interview or, like, job hunting is, like, just to really try to be yourself. And if they don't vibe, and like if they're like, oh, what are you doing, you have to be like, hey, no, what are you doing? Right?
Right.
You have to be like, no, what are you doing?
Right.
And be okay with like that person, because that person was not good enough for you.
Right.
And that company was not good enough for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all of, I think jobs and like finding companies is a really important step to first like understand like what kind of companies are there in the world that is moving the economy, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
you went from there?
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, like job hunting, I was like, okay, what kind of companies are moving this world, right? It's generating the money.
But it's usually the big companies.
It's the big companies. And then you kind of learn about, like, okay, whoa, that PG&E is making detergent. You know? Like, okay, Nestle is making coffee, you know? Like, what, all the stuff that we have right now is, like, made because of those of businesses, right? And so it's a good timing in your life to learn about all the companies that is moving this economy and that is supporting our lives.
I think it's not about the companies that we should be learning about. I think we should be learning about the types of jobs that are out there. Because it's not like Nestle making coffee.
Yeah, and also that, like, the next step is like, okay, what kind of job? Do you want to be a consultant at Deloitte or McKinsey? Like, do you want to be a marketer? Do you want to be HR? There's so many kinds of jobs. And then you kind of have to really be able to find what you like. Because if you're a people person and if you're applying to engineering jobs or, like, hard skill jobs, it's going to be really hard for you. If you are not a good consultant, don't try to be a consultant.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't know what you're...
Well, you don't know if you will be a good consultant.
Yeah, you do. Like, if you are being influenced by other people all the time, like, yeah, you might not be a good consultant. Right?
Yeah, so I think also you should ask ChatGPT in advance.
Oh, yeah. ChatGPT 4.0 is so smart.
Yeah.
You would not believe how smart that is.
I know. You just type in, like, your personality, I am MBTI, and ask ChatGPT what you should become.
That is so cool.
And they list it out for you. And you can take that as advice.
No, seriously, like when I'm sad or something,
you talk to ChatGPT.
You talk to ChatGPT. If you are thinking about doing something and if you're on the edge of it, you talk to ChatGPT. Talking to ChatGPT about job internships and like whatever, like anything, you can really talk about it to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But yeah, well, and then okay, so finding the, like knowing what kind of companies, like finding what kind of like positions are there, and then I think you kind of go into, okay, which ones fit in well for me, right? And then you kind of, for me, I just interviewed a bunch of different companies just so that I can practice.
Yeah, and you should definitely practice because once you practice, you get the hang of the answers that you want to provide the company. Yeah. It becomes the same.
Yeah.
It becomes a script.
So if I had the opportunity to like get interviews, I went for it. Even if it's like a tobacco. I'm not saying like tobacco companies are bad, but I also interviewed for like something that I was really passionate about, and just for the practice, so that there's not much pressure, right? Yeah. And I didn't really put pressure on myself about like getting a job or anything like that, or getting a position in that company that I really liked or something. I didn't really like a lot of the companies anyways. It was just like for me to get experience. So I wasn't really like pressuring myself either. Yeah. And people take like gap years after college and stuff. So there's so many different ways that you can live. There's not like a set route, like a path.
Right.
Like a need to. Yeah. That's what I really like understood after like getting a job and stuff and like adulting more. Like there's no set path. So I feel like we shouldn't be like really pressured to to do something to get a job. Maybe it is important. I'm not sure. I think maybe it is. But you just do it and then, like, you have to just do it to see.
Yeah. Depends on... I think it really depends on your ego.
Your ego?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm trying to...
Or, like, what you want to do, like, your desires?
No, I think it depends on how you want to be perceived.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I think if you want to be perceived as someone who is suited... or is someone who is successful in society, then, you know, maybe
you want to do that.
You want to get a corporate job or, you know. But if you don't really care, if you don't really value work, then I think there are so many different ways to make
career.
a living.
Right? Like if you don't value like career and like how you're perceived in society, like there's so many
different ways to make money, and by having like multiple part-time jobs, maybe you'll be able to balance more or focus more on your time to friends and family. Maybe that's more important to you. So it really depends.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, so I don't know if this like answered your question. But yeah, that was just like a snippet of our interview process, and also like in finding internships and jobs after and during college. So I know like it's July, so a lot of like people might be hunting for jobs in the summer. Yeah, so let us know if you have any more like questions or like whatever like you want us to cover. We'll try our best to cover it. Okay, thank you so much for listening to the very end. We're also streaming on Spotify and all other podcast platforms. So, and then also if you have any topic requests, you can DM us on our Misa and Misa Yuka Instagram account or my personal account on Instagram. So, okay, I hope you guys are having a great day
and a great life.
I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!